Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamualaikum. Ji ayanu bakhair agale ni hao chunashumme washmale. Ohio gozaimas guten morgen. Hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal? Halishuma chatore, ahlan wa sahlan marhaba. Buna mucho gracias. Swabi abhalli kare aaya. Hoş geldin and aaya saya khuyamora chivato chihal jod kali mera khairotan Juma Mubarak. And thank you so much to each and every one of you who's tuned into PTV World and are ready to kickstart their Friday morning with World This Morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really lucky that I've been joined by my wonderful colleague who happens to be Miss Eesha Rehan. I happen to be Shahzad Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Eesha, assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam, Shahzad. Thank you for the enthusiastic introduction, even though you're feeling a little bit under the weather even today. And a very, very blessed Juma Mubarak to all of our viewers and everyone watching. This day reminds us of how we need to unify and come together as a community and bond.
Exactly, but with that, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we do know how there's a conflict going on in between, unfortunately, in Israel and Iran as well, which is why we would want to update our audiences about that situation where Iran has launched a renewed and intensified missile assault targeting southern Israel, escalating regional tensions and promoting immediate military and emergency responses. The Israeli military said it detected the missile launch from Iran and defense systems are working to track and intercept the incoming projectiles. According to the Quds news network, sirens have been sounded in the southern Israeli city of Beersheba and surrounding towns. A missile has reportedly struck a building in the city. Video footage from southern Israel shows large plumes of smoke, cars ablaze and emergency crews trying to put out the flames on what appears to be a main road in southern Israel. Israeli Rescue Service Megan David Adam shared a photo on social media showing the aftermath of the strike in southern Israel and said no reports of casualties have been received at this stage. Our teams are being dispatched to the area. The sprawling situation is now turning into full spectrum warfare, including cyber intelligence and missile strikes, raising fears of a wider regional war if diplomatic efforts fail. This is unfortunate to see where the world is headed and the conflict hit region where may it be Iran or Israel, and we certainly as Pakistanis hope that the sense is going to prevail and that the diplomatic efforts will bring a change into the situation which is building up as of now. But not just that, I think in addition to this, that the rest of the world will have to fare the brunt as well, and it's because of the fact that the tensions between Iran and Israel have led to a surge in global oil prices. Foreign media report that concerns over a possible military conflict between the two nations have significantly affected the global economy, pushing crude oil prices up to $76.45 per barrel. Well, that's obviously what happens when, unfortunately, two nations actually come across together in a war. And it's unfortunate to see from both the ends as well. And we hope and pray that sense is going to prevail. But in addition to this, I think what we really need to talk about today over here is that, you know, when such situations arise, when such conflicts arise, what happens is that people are actually destined to leave their country and migrate, or probably people become refugees. And today, ladies and gentlemen, on the 20th of June, it's a very important day because today the world is observing World Refugee Day, where the World Refugee Day is observed every year to honor the strength and courage of people who have been forced to flee their home country to escape conflict or persecution. The day has been designated by the United Nations to honor refugees around the world and draw global attention towards their plight. The day helps to mobilize political will and resources so refugees can not only survive but thrive. Now, and to talk about this, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the UNHCR representative to Pakistan, Ms. PHILIPPA, who's over here with us in the PTV World Studios. Hello, madam. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you? Bonjour. Thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you over here. So to get started with it, obviously we've spoken about the Israel and Iran conflict and how people are actually pushed to kind of flee the space that they're already living in, so that, you know, for their safety, for their growth and whatnot. How do you see that World Refugee Day marks an important occasion for all of us globally? Can you tell us what this day represents and why is it so significant for all the refugees and for all of us to kind of make sure that we commemorate the efforts that they have put in?
Thank you very much. I think, as you said, World Refugee Day is a moment to sensitize people to the situation of refugees. I mean, we're living through what could potentially develop into a refugee situation. As you said, we all hope that won't be the case, but there are many other such situations in the world. And the World Refugee Day was started in 2001. To commemorate 50 years of the 1951 Refugee Convention, and marks a moment when we can pause, take stock of where we stand on refugee situations across the world, and outreach to populations about what it means to be a refugee, but also what solutions there are and what resilience and what positive things refugees can bring to our communities.
Exactly, and not just that, madam, what we do see is that, one, obviously we've spoken about the conflict. Now let's bring in climate change as well. So when we see climate change and when we see, the conflicts which are rising day by day, how do you think that the refugee situation is changing globally? Do you think that there's more effort which needs to be brought in? You spoke about sensitizing people. How do you think that UNHCR in particularly is actually making sure that precisely work on refugees and how they could actually be accommodated by other nations?
I think the international community and UNHCR as a member of that international community, but also countries and host populations can do a lot. I mean, Pakistan is a very good example of a country that has hosted refugees for decades. The government has had a very friendly response to refugees over the years, but of course primarily it's the communities who have received refugees, who have offered hospitality to refugees. So I think Pakistan is a good example to show to the world as to how you can help refugees, and other communities as well need to do so. Interestingly enough, when it comes to statistics, we've actually seen a slight decrease in the number of displaced people as compared to last year. So last year we were talking about total displaced figures of 123 million. People both displaced within their countries and refugees who are displaced outside their countries. But this year we're talking about 122 million. So it's a small decrease, but it does show that in some parts of the world there are some solutions. I think maybe the one that most of us can think about and are familiar with is the recent returns of Syrians to Syria.
Yep.
Small numbers, but nevertheless it's a step in the right direction.
Exactly.
That was put together very well. And as we know, refugees are people who are forced to flee their homes and their families, leaving behind their memories, and they are out in the open, not with any protection or dignity being guarded at all. So what challenges do refugees face that we are not aware of?
Many challenges. I mean, the first challenge is, of course, having to leave your own home, the place that you belong to, and very often, very quickly. Sometimes you lose family members in that journey, that departure. So that's sort of the immediate challenges. In the longer term, and I think looking at the world as it is today, there are two major challenges. There is an overall lack of solutions for refugees. I mentioned some small examples of positive solutions, but on the whole, it's very difficult for many refugees to go back because their countries are still at war. It's very difficult for them to settle in their host countries, and moving to third countries, as we also know, is increasingly difficult in today's world. And on top of that, many organizations working with refugees are facing severe funding shortages. This won't be new to you. I'm sure we've all heard about the very dire impact of, for example, the US funding cuts, but also other countries that are following suit. And it means that basic services to refugees are missing. I could give you a concrete example. In Egypt, 10,000 refugee children will not be able to go to school this year because of the funding cuts.
Oh my gosh, that's devastating.
Exactly, and these are the challenges, and not just that. I think what we really need to kind of speak about over here, because Madam Philippa over here actually mentioned how 10,000 children in Egypt won't be able to go to school, and she mentioned how Pakistan has always kind of made sure that that we open our hearts and doors for refugees as well, not just Pakistan, may it be Turkey, may it be Canada. You've actually made sure that that they are going to welcome refugees. But I think what we really need to speak about over here is the resilience of refugees, not just that, and the impact of UNHCR in this very direction, how we make it easier for the refugees to kind of find a new home for themselves.
So one of the things that we do, we work very closely with governments, of course, both in the case of Pakistan, the federal government, but also the provincial governments. We work very closely with partners, NGO partners in Pakistan, mostly local NGO partners who provide services to refugees. And we work with the host and refugee communities themselves. And some of the activities that we do, I mean, we have a whole role on the sort of, let's say, the normative front, but perhaps more importantly, we provide support, and with the help of our donors, and projects in refugee hosting areas. So, as some very concrete examples, we provided 85 dialysis machines to the SIUT hospital in Karachi. We're doing solarization of public health facilities in KP and Balochistan. We provided a CT scanner to the kidney hospital in Peshawar. And these are projects that benefit refugee populations because they have access to these services, but most importantly, they also provide a contribution towards the Pakistani host communities. And it's part of our policies to do this. We don't only support the refugees, we also support the communities that are hosting them.
So it's their health, it's their education, so it's sort of very holistic approach towards refugees and the community around them.
That was very well explained. And you know, we talked about different statistics that you explained, and each of these statistics actually represent individuals who have been forced to flee, who have been struggling and showing immense amount of strength. So can you give more examples of how refugees are settled within local communities, and how do you help them get adjusted within the new country that they go to?
I mean, there are many refugees that I think throughout history that are very well known examples of successful refugees. Perhaps the one that UNHCR talks about all the time is Einstein. He was a refugee, and look at the contributions he made to his community. And there are many other such examples, perhaps not as famous, but that show how refugees can contribute to the societies. Here in Pakistan, for example, you have a doctor, Dr. Salima, who was born in Pakistan, an Afghan refugee, who has done her, thanks to the opportunities given to her in Pakistan, she was able to study medicine. She is the first Turkmen female gynecologist.
Wow.
So she has the potential to make a lot of contributions to the community. Now the challenge here is that formally she has not been given the right to work. So this is something that we need to work on together with the government of Pakistan. But there are many such examples. At the Paralympics, there was an Afghan woman who won a bronze medal, Zakia. So the world is full of positive examples about the resilience and contributions of refugees.
Yeah, and bringing a lot of good name to wherever their new home is. And I think that's where the community really needs to play its role as well in making sure that they accept them with whole hearts. And that's exactly what is required of humanity as well. But I do know for a fact, because you know, me and Eesha over here, we were discussing about it, that there might be a lot of misconceptions about refugees. Would you mind sharing an example or busting a myth today, which people might think, oh no, because it's refugee, you know, so we might think differently? Would you mind taking the opportunity or advantage of the opportunity?
No, I'd love to. I mean, this is key to the work that we do every day, trying to bust myths, as you put it. I think probably the one that I would like to flag here is the idea that refugees are a burden and are responsible for increases in crime. And we see this as a perception across many countries. We're seeing it very much in rhetoric in Europe. We're seeing it in the US in the current context, and to some extent we've also seen the same as type of rhetoric here in Pakistan. But there are many studies that show, for example, that refugees are not a burden on their host countries.
Wow.
Recently, just to take an example, there was a study done in Poland on Ukrainian refugees that shows that, and it was a study done by a reputable accounting firm, Deloitte, that shows that refugees actually contributed to an increase in the GDP of Poland of 2.7% in 1 year, because they're allowed to run businesses, as we see many refugees in Pakistan can run businesses. In Poland, they contribute by employing people, and they pay taxes. So it's very important that host countries also allow refugees to contribute like that, and to make these economic benefits.
And thank you so much for saying that as well, Ms. Philippa. And it's because of the fact that, you know, I think prior to this day, when we thought that, you know, that it's going to be a burden onto the local government or the governments anyways as well, but to allow them to be a member of that economic prosperity, they will certainly contribute. And, you know, obviously they were doing something back home, they will start their businesses over here as well, and it will contribute. But how do you think any individual who's watching or listening to us right now can actually make a real difference? For example, me or Eesha or anyone who's out there, we go out in 46 different countries. How do you think people can actually make a difference in the life of refugees?
You're making a difference by talking about this.
Alhamdulillah.
I think as individuals we can all make a difference. As I said, Pakistan has already made a difference. Communities have hosted refugees. That can continue. I think to have a positive approach, to stand in solidarity with refugees, and also to encourage your politicians, your governments, provincial governments, federal governments, state governments to have policies that enable refugees to contribute positively and to fulfill their own potential. That's the way people can help.
Exactly. Thank you so much for saying that, because I think towards the end, that's one last question which I'm going to ask you, and that is, how do you think that the global leadership could actually think better and do better for displaced people or refugees?
Well, that's a good question, especially as you said, the world today. I mean, you mentioned the most recent example of the conflict developing in the neighboring country. There are many dire situations. We, of course, see Gaza every day, which is definitely something that is a very sobering development. I think what we all need to keep in mind, it is these small examples that make for a more hopeful future. It is what we can each do as individuals, and politicians, global leaders need to listen to their populations, many of whom are supportive of refugees. Polls show this over and over again, and have the courage to stand up also in solidarity of refugees.
I think it's wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Philippa, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you, and thank you so much for your time. And obviously a rich tribute to UNHCR, you know, for all the efforts that they've put in for all the refugees and the displaced people as well. Thank you so much for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you.
Thank you very much.
Exactly. And not just that, Eesha, I think what we really need to talk about it's more like how a local neighborhood would always watch out for their neighbor, you know. So, you know, even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us that, you know, how we really need to look after our neighbors, and they have the first right, you know. So if you've cooked something, you really are supposed to ask. And I think that globally what we need to do is, as countries, we really need to feel like neighbors, and we need to open our doors for all of those people who've been displaced or probably from the areas where there's conflict going on. And to do so, ladies and gentlemen, imagine that the plight of a displaced person who might have children, who might have a lot of responsibilities, and all he or she wants is safety for their children, where they could grow and be a member of the community who's actually contributing back towards the community. That's all which is required. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we come towards the end of the World Refugee Day as well. And whatever is in your capacity, please make sure that you do that as a member, as a healthy member of the community.
And moving on towards what is happening across Pakistan, we're going to talk about the weather forecast. The Met Department has forecasted the intermittent monsoon rains across the country from today until 23rd June. We have been anticipating the monsoon winds and the monsoon rains for such a long time. Moist winds from the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea will enter the upper regions of the country, which is expected to break the ongoing intense heat wave.
Exactly, and to talk more about it, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we'll be joined by Mr. MAHR SHAHIBZAD Khan Sahab, you know, who happens to be the Director General PMD. Hello sir, Assalamu Alaikum, good morning, how are you feeling today?
Wow, nice feeling, nice feeling. And how
sir,
are
क्या
you?
nice feeling? बारिश हो नहीं रही सर, कोई nice feeling आ ही नहीं रही सर, स्टूडियो में ही पसीना आ रहा है.
And you know, we've been waiting for so long for this monsoon wind to break this intense heat, but however, like two sides of a coin, one side is going to bring us respite and soothe the climate for us. However, the other side might be causing a lot of chaos and challenges for us. So can you please break that down for us? What are the impacts of the rain going to be?
Thank you. Thank you. As we have discussed three days before that, monsoon spell will be approaching from today night, and it will affect to the northwestern part of the country, and then it will proceed further. And the next 3 days, there are chances in many areas of the Pakistan that monsoon rain will start, and this system will I think linger on. Because further new system of the monsoon spell will start with effect from 25th of the June, and so that will be the regular system of the monsoon, This is pre-monsoon, but one day break, 24th. There will be after that 25th. Regular monsoon spell will start, and further relief that there was a scorching heat we will get relief from this, and the monsoon weather with the monsoon weather systems we will enjoy the rain, but you know that with the rains there are flooding, there are landsliding, there is urban flooding, there is a flash flooding. So these eventuality will also disturb us. So we should have to be careful from these eventuality.
सर चले अल्लाह
was
खैर
very
करेगा
well
इंशाल्लाह पहले
explained.
बारिश तो आने दें सर अब तरस गए हैं सर हम चाहते हैं कि अल्लाह की तरफ से ये रहमत जो है ना ये
इंशाल्लाह
बरसे
आएगी बारिश.
well thank you so much sir I hope that PMD this time just like always they have been very right with whatever they have said and obviously the advisories have been launched by PMD as well. I would request all our viewers to kind of go out onto their website to look for what's going to happen in your region, and for all of those may them be disaster authorities. I do believe that that they will be on their toes as well to make sure that God forbid if there's some sort of flooding, urban flooding or cloud burst, that they'll be able to handle it as well. Thank you so much MAHR SHAHIBZAD sir for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. The first thing, Eesha, you think about when I say rain?
Rain. I think of being a child and running into the rain.
Wow,
And
I think
enjoying the thunderstorm.
Wow, and thank you so much for saying that, because this is what real-time chemistry looks like.
Really?
Because I thought, what if you say that that you feel like having pakoras or samosas or not? But thank you so much, because I think for me, I've always loved playing cricket in the rain or running in the rain as well. But ladies and gentlemen, that's one thing that we're going to discuss today. A lot of people over here in Pakistan, this culture is developing. When you go to the West, you do see how everybody's running early in the morning or probably maybe evening as well.
But
We'll
before
come
we
down
dive
to that.
into that, we need to talk
yes.
about the sports and how Pakistan is shining globally. Pakistan will face France today in the semi-final of the FIH Hockey Nations Cup in Kuala Lumpur. In the second semi-final with New Zealand, it will take on Korea. France and Korea qualify for the last four from Pool A, while New Zealand and Pakistan reached semi-finals from Pool B. Pakistan finished at the second place with 4 points after 3 matches of the government victory against Japan, while the match against Malaysia ended in a draw. New Zealand beat Pakistan in a hard-fought match by the score of 4-3.
Oh, that's wonderful, and we certainly want to wish them best of luck as well. But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, on the heights of Pakistan, where we call the place SANDHU, the SANDHU Polo Festival is supposed to begin in Upper Chitral, and that's from tomorrow. Wow, I think it's going to be a great day. I so want to be over there, but a 3-day SANDHU Polo Festival begin today in scenic valley of district Upper Chitral. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Culture and Tourism Authority has finalized all the necessary arrangements to hold the Polo Festival in a befitting manner. During the festival, polo matches will be played between traditional competitors, Gilgit-Baltistan and Chitral teams in the highest polo ground in Shandur, Chitral. Wow, I think it's fantastic for everybody who's out there, who's actually watching us on news. It's summertime over here in Islamabad. Please make sure that you sit in your car, prepare yourself, and go witness Shandur Polo Festival. It's something magnificent. But now, because in polo, it's the horse which needs to really run fast. But over here, ladies and gentlemen, when we spoke about, if it rains, what do you feel like doing? We feel like running. And running is something which actually gives you a lot of cardiovascular exercises and fitness as well. But today what we're talking about is that how running towards health can actually help you with friendship and have a purpose in life. And to speak about it, we're very lucky that we've been joined by Mr. MURTAZA Zaidi, who happens to be a marathon runner. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
MURTAZA bhai, aaj bhagte bhagte hain?
No, although I was suggested to go to the station running, but
thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here.
We want to learn more about how running became such a meaningful part of your life, and how did you get started with it?
So basically, I started with the same objective of staying healthy and like for my health, to make your heart healthier, for cardiovascular health. So that's how it all started. Then I was like introduced to some friends who started this club, Islamabad Running Club.
Yep.
So I joined them, and since there's no turning back, I'm doing marathons and ultra marathons.
I think it's great, but I think there are a lot of myths which we really need to bust, which people kind of keep on saying, and that is that, when you run, you actually damage your knees. When you run, you're actually over consuming your breaths, which Allah has actually written for you already. So there's a
these
designated
are
number.
not they are partly true. If you're not running in with the right form, then you are obviously injuring your knees and your tendons. And if you're not eating proper, not resting properly, and if you're not like taking proper food for it, then you'll definitely get injured. But if you're doing it proper with the people who are doing it for some time and they know the ins and outs of the sport, then there's lesser chances of injury. I don't say you won't get injured, because even the top athletes, they get injured.
True.
So even then there's a chance, but those are not entirely true.
Okay.
So I'm running for like 6-7 years. I am running fine.
Everything's good?
Yeah, everything's
Have you spent a lot of money on some fancy running shoes as well?
Yeah, that's the worst part of it, or maybe that's the best part of it. You get to get the new gears and everything, but that's the fun part.
Yeah.
You get to experience the best of both worlds. And when I imagine running, I think of a short sprint, but you are a marathon runner. So please tell us how you train for a marathon and what kind of tips
Yeah,
would you
marathon
recommend?
is, there are sprints and there are endurance running. Endurance running is where you go distances, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, and
50,
20,
60.
21, 50,
Yeah.
150. Sky's the limit. So we have people in our community who can barely walk 2 kilometers, and we have people who have done running for 2 days at a stretch.
Yeah.
So we have all kind of people from 11 years old to 65-year-old, from young boys to girls to housewives, to we have all kind of people among us. So endurance sports is like something which we Islamabad Running Club, we promote for cardiovascular health and for a healthy lifestyle, and it teaches you a lot of life lessons also.
It does.
So you when you think
So what
of
life
giving,
lessons?
yeah, a lot of time you
Kya
would
muscle
want
liya,
to
bhaga
you would
liya.
want to give up in life. Okay, though I can't do it, but you still just keep going. I have to cover the distance. I have to get to the goal. So that is a big life lesson. It shows you humility, because it makes you humble. And there are people who are who will take you along. If
True.
you cannot make it yourself, there will be someone who will be
carry
cheering you up.
Yep.
They'll carry you along. So there are a lot of life lessons.
And
That was very well put together. And
Yeah.
I was just thinking that you cannot outrun your problems, but with the right shoes and the right playlist, you can outrun your stress potentially.
I think that's a great question, because imagine, I think that's something that we really need to ask him. Do you really need a playlist to run?
I personally don't.
Yeah,
I am the one who to conversate with people. In the long runs, in the weekend we do 15 to 21 to 32 kilometers. So we would like to have someone who can chat all along. Normally we don't.
Bhagte ja rahe.
Yes, we just go.
So running is kind of a part of therapy. You could say emotional
It's a
bonding.
therapy, yeah. It's
friendships.
kind of a meditation. You are disconnected from all your life worries and
Just
tensions
focusing
and
on your
everything.
goal.
You are focused on one thing. So this is one of the best kind of meditation one can have.
And if one can actually have a life partner who actually runs equally well.
Yes, we have couples here in our club who are doing marathons
आपस में
together.
race लगी हुई है.
आपस-
And you know what? It's
They're
a
not
sunnah of Prophet
racing.
Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. Used to run with Aisha radhiyallahu ta'ala
Yeah,
anha
yeah.
as well. And I think it's great. But sir, while we are at it, I think what we really need to do is that other than motivating people to run, it's great. We need to tell them what is the right way to run. How much do you need to run? Because what people do is that when they take on a hobby, for example, paddle these days,
Yeah.
everybody's spending a lot of money on the paddle rackets and booking the paddle courts and whatnot. What is the right way to run? How much do we need to run in a week? And how do we look after our health in terms of whatever nutrition we require to make sure that we are a healthy runner?
So it all depends on the goals that you have. If you are running just to keep
Abs
sustain-
aa jaye mere sir, isliye bhag raha hu.
So you won't be making abs, you will be losing muscles.
Fat?
when-
No, I've been losing a lot of fat though.
Yeah,
no?
yeah, you lose fat, but if you do long distance running, you'll lose fat. So you need to take a lot of protein for that. So you need to have proper hydration and nutrition for that. If you are it all depends on your goal, what you are aiming
Abs.
for. For that, I would not recommend you running. I would recommend you
Gym.
gym. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for example, if I have a goal of making sure that my heart's at right place, that I'm mentally well, that I'm physically well, and I'm socially well, and that
good
when
blood circulation.
I get ready, I look
So
wonderful.
for that, you need to do 4 days or 5 days of running
Okay.
All right.
each week. But you know, whatever you do, if you just keep doing it for a certain period of time, your body would not respond to it.
Okay.
So you need to up your game all the time. So you
Alright.
need to have bigger goals. If you are like, I do 5 kilometers and I keep doing it for 50 years, there won't be any improvement.
Alright.
So I need to have a bigger goal. Like I've done like 5 kilometers, now I need to have a bigger goal. Like I need to do 10 kilometers.
I can relate with it as well. Imagine that, you know, when I started going to the gym, so I was doing 10 push-ups every day.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I thought, hey, you know what, my body's gotten used to of it.
Yes.
So I brought it to 15, then 20, then 25, then 30. And this is where it gets difficult then.
Yeah, this is the essence of everything. Like even in like your salat, namaz, if you just keep saying your first prayers, you need to. There will be a time for your like the growth in your
Andar se
spiritual
awaaz
being.
aayegi.
Yes, for your spiritual like health, you need to offer sunnah prayers.
And you know what, I'm going to share this very interesting incident, and it just happened last night. So I've always made sure, alhamdulillah, that I'm very punctual about my, you know, obligatory prayers as well. And just yesterday, I actually had a dream. It was Fajr prayer time. So I woke up. I was like, I need to up my game now. I need to speak to Allah Almighty. I woke up, you know, did my ablution. I was like, sat down on the prayer mat, which is why I was late to work today. Uske baad jab soya hu, to utha hi nahi. So I think everybody needs to do that, and everybody needs to up their game
So
as
you
well.
need to up your game all the time. So that's the idea of making a community. So like if I do running alone, I'll be like content with 5 kilometers. Now when I'm in a community, I see people running marathons and ultra marathons. So I just push myself to go further. So that is one of the reasons we have made this community, to push people beyond their limits, to make people realize they can do more. So this is the idea.
Exactly, and it's a wonderful idea as well. But so very quickly towards the end of this segment, I'm actually going to request you, because, you know, when I was running on treadmill, I'm a very bad runner. You know, I've had 2 spine injuries, so I cannot run. My doctor told me, you know, you're not supposed to run. You're a tall guy. Even though you're a tall guy, you give me a lot of inspiration. What is the right way to run? Because some videos will tell me you need to leave your hands like this. Some will tell me you need to have this posture. What is the correct posture of running? And if you feel like standing up, please stand up.
So there's no correct posture of running. Your body is an amazing machine. It adjusts yourself. Like there was a marathon runner, Haile Selassie. He was one of the most famous long distance runners of all time. He used to run with his bag tucked under his hand. He used to run like this. So if you ask any runner, they would say it's not the proper way to run.
All right.
But he made his body get used to it, and he did it for like a longer period of time. So he would run with like one hand idle. That is not the right posture. So if you're carrying some injury, your body will automatically adjust to it, and you need to listen to your body all the time. No matter who you are, like there was a sprinter, Michael Johnson, you must have heard his name.
Yep.
He had a very like short, very different technique. But everybody used to say you cannot run fast with it. But he was the fastest runner of all time.
Exactly. So everybody will adopt to their own technique.
Exactly. So
Whatever
you need to
makes
listen to your body.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you know, a lot of time people actually get it wrong as well. I'm very sorry, I think somebody's missing me and I'm about to sneeze as well. But you really need to understand, you know, what your body is telling you. You know, one way you're comfortable, do not always listen to your trainer, because at times, you know, that's how you end up being injured as well. But sir, thank you so much for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. And I think what we're going to do is, I'm going to run with you, you know, to see you off as well. Please hold your mic in your hand so we could start running. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. All right, so can we? All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah, let's go. All right, thank you so much for being with us. Lovely to have you over here. I have to go back running as well, so I'm going to come back. Okay.
You know, Shahzad, I actually have a tip for you.
Yeah.
You know, someone told me, I'm an avid swimmer, so they said to maintain stamina, what you need to do is that you need to inhale from your nose, and then you need to exhale from your mouth. And that is a great way to conserve energy and maintain stamina while you are exerting your body.
You know, I started working out and exercising and swimming जब आप पैदा भी नहीं हुई थी.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Then my tip is
So I
useless.
think this is something that I already know. Well, thank you so much for the advice.
But I think that is
I think a lot of
pretty
people
correct, huh?
are out there. You know, while we were talking about running, now imagine that he spoke about how this Islamabad running club, you know, it comes down to, you know, brotherhood. It comes down to unity. Imagine I used to ride bikes, you know, we had a whole group and everybody's out there to watch out for everyone. And I think as Muslims, it actually gives us a stronger message of bonding, unity, brotherhood, being together, looking after each other. And these are the things which will be rewarded by Allah Almighty. And since
And
it's
these
Friday.
are the things that test us the most.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, test
We
to
can
nahi hai
talk
isme.
about it, but we need to apply it exactly in our life, and we need to implement it and follow with the words that we speak.
Just a brotherhood, वैसे ही sisterhood भी, and I think everybody needs to come together as a unity. And one of our brothers is over here. He happens to be my mentor. We spent the worst time together, you know, which was during COVID. You know, we would video call each other. He would motivate me, I would motivate him, and it certainly did work out for us. Alhamdulillah, shukr, alhamdulillah. He's with us to speak about it, ladies and gentlemen. We're very lucky that we've been joined by one of my favorite religious scholars. He's Mr. IMRAN SANDHU. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Kaifa hal? Alhamdulillah. When say in the studio? Yeah, Rafika ki tarika. Well, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. It's wonderful to have you over here. Today we're talking about unity and brotherhood. Please take it away.
Yes, so nahmaduhu wa nusalli wa nusallimu ala rasulihil kareem. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allah says that innamal mu'minuna ikhwa, that all the Muslims are but brothers.
True.
And this innama, this word innama in Quran, it actually it stresses, like it creates a wall, like ummah is inside, and there's a big wall that confines ummah into that room. And metaphorically, you know, we may live in different parts of the world, like and there's a hadith that says that al-Muslimuna kal bunyan, that they are just like one big building.
Combined unit.
Yeah.
And we did bunyan and mursus, and the same word comes in bunyan and mursus, like they are like this one big building.
True.
So
Unit.
and marsus is lead, like we are, the ummah is like lead, the building whose walls are made up of lead. So you know, when we see the last sermon of the Prophet, in the last sermon, Prophet said that there's no differentiation or no categorizations of Muslims.
True.
And he said it like this. And you know, the Prophet's last sermon, that would be taken as the wasiyah, the last advice to the nation, is that Arabi will have no fazilat or
Superiority.
between Arab speaking and non-Arab speaking, or creed or color. You know, so you know, the world is now divided today, as we see,
In all of these things.
in all of these things, like either we are divided into nation states in the form like who are Arabic speaking and non-Arabic,
Rich, poor, black, white, you know, all of these
black,
things.
Social,
black
yeah.
countries and
non-social.
white countries, West and the East. So Prophet ﷺ in his last sermon said that you have to be careful about that. You are not divided into nation states, you are not divided into colors, you are not divided into creeds. And in another hadith where it is said that the Muslims are going to be big in numbers, but you know, will be divided into 73 divisions. So those 73 divisions, if we metaphorically speaking with this hadith, it could be color or the creed,
True.
it could be school of thoughts, it could be nation states, it could be, so you know. And Prophet also said that Muslims are like jasadin wahidin, like this is like one body. If one part of the body feels pain, the other part of the body becomes, you know,
But sir,
tense.
now very quickly, I think what we really need to do is, I cannot brush it under the carpet, and it's because of the fact that we have seen how unfortunately a few Muslim states have been in trouble and in pain. And it's not exactly how it looks like, where how the prophetic tradition needs to be carried, you know, with all of that legacy. We do know how people in Gaza unfortunately have been targeted mercilessly by you know, the Israelis. Not just that, we see how atrocities are being faced by Iran as well, and they're giving a befitting reply. How do you think that the world needs to come together? Because I think it's more about having a shared identity. And we do see right in front of us, but just because of our interest, we are not making sure that we follow the prophetic era.
Yeah, definitely. You know, ultimately, I see humanity as one race. But unfortunately, the people now who have the most power in the world, the Western world, they are dividing the humanity into different East and the West, and Europe and US, and they have created a system where one person cannot go to the other area of the world to help each other. The system is like this.
True.
And this is known as, I would say, the system of the Dajjal, that is going to go to its threshold, inshallah, very soon.
Inshallah.
And it is going to break off, inshallah. The reason is, now we can see their SOP, the standard operating procedure, the cold start doctrine that they do to divide the Muslims. First they put a blame, then they say that these Muslims, like they'll take, they are going to generalize one or two incidences.
How they made Muslims the new black.
And they plan these incidences like that.
True.
Now, since last 25 years, what we are seeing, 7 Muslim states have been attacked, and we see it happening like this. But what is the solution side of this? When they put in an incident, generalize it on whole of a nation state, and then come and attack. Israel has done, and this I would say, I would not say the Prime Minister of Israel, I would say the certified, he is the certified war criminal as put in by the International Court of Justice, ICJ.
True.
He falsely blamed against the opinion of International Atomic Energy, that Iran is making a nuclear bomb.
Yep,
falsely put blame.
Accusing, yes.
And then when the peace talks were happening, they he attacked to disrupt and sabotage those peace talks. What we should do in the light of the Islamic Brotherhood, we should try to support Iran in all kinds of in any way, the political way, the diplomatic way, and in any kind of way that we can.
Exactly.
And not only Iran, but also all the other states, especially the children of Gaza. That little girl said that I'm going to go up and tell Allah what they have done to me.
And thank you so much, sir, for saying that. And truly, and I think that this is something which actually came across me just yesterday, and that is that Allah in Quran actually mentions, and do not fear, almost 326 times, or probably more than that as well. And I think that's all the Muslims need to do, and stand together. And one more thing, and that is that, if Israel can actually go their way, it's because of the fact that they've worked really hard on this. And I think that all the Muslim countries really need to work hard, make sure that they come at a position where they can dominate. And do not dominate, because if you need authority or power, at times it is said or labeled as if you want to do something which is not really right. I think that the language of love is something which will bring Muslims a lot of good name as well. And the reason why they do not want us to be together is because half of the population now, alhamdulillah, is actually Muslims all over the globe as well. But we certainly want brotherhood. We want the prophetic era to be followed. Thank you so much, Sandhu Saab, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, remember all of our Muslim brothers and sisters in your prayers. The entire global population needs to speak the language of love and peace needs to prevail, and sanity needs to prevail. Jummah Mubarak. Allah Hafiz. Good morning.